Okay, probably most efficient just to go straight to questions, given the timing and everything. So, OK.
Oui, bonjour, M. Carney,
Bonjour,
Sandrine
madame.
Viera avec Le Devoir. Vous avez eu plusieurs rencontres bilatérales depuis lundi, mais aujourd'hui, vous quittez Évian sans en avoir obtenu une avec le président Trump. Est-ce que les Américains vous ont donné une explication sur le pourquoi il a refusé de vous rencontrer? Et plus largement, qu'est-ce que ça dit sur l'état de nos relations avec Washington, considérant que le G7 était probablement le meilleur moment pour avoir un tête-à--tête? Et si vous pouvez répondre en français et en anglais, s'il vous plaît.
D'accord. J'ai eu plusieurs conversations avec Président Trump hier et le jour après, avant, pardon, et probablement 7 ou 8 conversations avec lui sur plusieurs sujets, l'Ukraine, nos relations commerciales, l'économie mondiale, l'IA, son anniversaire, tout cela. Alors, il y a beaucoup d'occasions de parler avec lui. Il y avait une réunion, comme vous le savez, entre M. Leblanc, M. Greer et Mme Charette, une réunion plus technique pour des négociations commerciales. Alors, il y a des occasions, il n'y a pas beaucoup de bilatérales, je crois, pour M. Trump à cette réunion. Il y a une bilatérale avec le président Macron et je crois une bilatérale, M. Trump m'a dit une bilatérale avec M. Modi. Alors, c'est pas grand-chose, c'est pas de signe là. I wouldn't take a big message from that. I had 7 or 8 discussions with President Trump over the course of the last 36 hours. I'll have more today, a wide range of subjects from the economy, relations, his birthday, artificial intelligence, Ukraine, obviously Iran, the aspects of the deal and the next steps there and how Canada can help. And good discussions with the president. So I wouldn't take a big message from it.
Juste pour préciser, est-ce que vous avez eu une justification pourquoi la rencontre n'a pas eu lieu?
Look, there's no message in that. He had 2 bilaterals, one with Mr. Macron. You always have a bilateral with the host, and I believe he had a bilateral with Mr. Modi, and his mode of being. I've dealt with Mr. Trump over the years, and his mode of being is consistent with the interactions I had with him. We had the direct discussions between the principals on the trade side, Mr. LeBlanc and Mr. Greer.
Prochaine question, next question.
Juste en français, la justification, s'il vous plaît.
J'ai déjà répondu à la question.
Prochaine question,
Alors.
next question.
Prime Minister, why did you feel the need to bring up Canada's Chinese electric vehicle camp with the U.S. president? And did you speak directly with him at the summit about the renewal of CUSMA?
I just answered. I spoke to him about a range of things. He had asked. I can't remember the. He had asked me about it on China, and I explained to him what the deal. I mean, it was one of many interactions with him, and I was explaining the actual structure of the deal. You're familiar with it. I'm not surprised that the President of the United States doesn't follow every detail of every agreement that Canada has, and he likes the structure, actually. We had a follow-up conversation about it as well.
You said you spoke about a range of things, but did you speak specifically about CUSMA renewal?
We had the discussions with our trade people. We had lots of other issues to discuss.
Prochaine question, next
En
question.
français, M. Carney, sur les véhicules électriques. Juste en français sur la discussion que vous avez eue avec les véhicules, sur les véhicules.
C'était une réponse à une question de lui, de M. Trump. Ce n'est pas une surprise que le président des États-Unis il ne connaît pas tous les détails de tous les accords du Canada avec d'autres pays. Et je veux souligner que le Canada a signé plus de 20 accords en économie et de sécurité pendant la dernière année. Alors, ouais.
Prime Minister Brian Platt with Bloomberg. I wanted to ask more on Chinese cars. The deal that you announced in January expected Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector. Minister Zhou Li is in China for most of this week. Do you have a clearer idea yet of how this might happen? In Europe, Stellantis is actually starting to build Chinese EVs in its factories here. Do you expect that that's how this may play out in Canada?
I would say the following. Just so we're all on the same page. We went back to In 2024, before we effectively, the government took steps that effectively shut the Canadian market for Chinese vehicles. Chinese automakers were exporting to Canada, paying an MFN tariff. It's about just under 7%, so the lowest tariff rate, most favored nation tariff rate. They were exporting 49,000 cars. They were all Teslas, basically. Teslas made in China. What we agreed with China earlier this year was, in effect, as I explained to the President, a hard cap. In other words, a very high punitive tariff above that 49,000 level, the MFN tariff below, but an additional requirement that half of that quota, that 49,000 built up over a few years, would be for vehicles $35,000 or less. So we'd get wider variety, wider choice for Canadians, but I'd remind, and you know this, that this is less than 3% of the Canadian car market. So it's quite, a marginal amount, but it gets some Chinese vehicles back in, more choice. And it creates the possibility, not the certainty in any ways, that there is commercial, this commercial relationship develops and there's Chinese investment in Canada. We are only interested in Chinese investment in Canada when it's material Canadian production. We're not interested in kits being put together in Canada. We're interested if there are joint venture partnerships, Canadian control, substantial value add, Canadian labor standards, substantial jobs, etc., that are consistent with that. Those are longer tail discussions. Those would be some of the discussions Minister Joly is having. You see some of this in, as you say, you see some of this happening in Europe. You see some of this happening I'll double check this with the President of Brazil, but I believe actually in Brazil you're seeing some of this as well. So it's a natural evolution of their business model. What we would do, though, is we will only do what's in the interest of Canadian consumers, Canadian workers. Yeah. Madam?
Hi, Prime Minister. Jordan Gallen with the National Post.
Hi.
In the leader statement on geopolitical issues yesterday, it said it welcomes Canada's potential to deliver additional energy capacity in the coming years. Can you elaborate on what you offer the European leaders, and can Canada deliver given its current export infrastructure?
Yes to your second part of your question. And the first part, let me give the context to that, which is taking the lessons, and one of the points that I made in the room in our discussions around Iran and geopolitics was we have to apply the lessons of recent events. And one of the lessons, no deep insight, but it's important that we actually apply it, is diversification. Choke point at Strait of Hormuz, we have all seen the impact, including on Canadians with higher gas prices, but more globally. So there's diversification within that region, new pipeline and other infrastructure, so not all energy is coming out through the strait. There is some of that, but there's not enough of that. So there's intention to build out a series of energy infrastructure there. Canada has the ability to do several things, and we're on the path to do several things. 50 megatons of LNG by the end of the year. The short answer on that, you're already seeing with the German offtakes for example, the Siliciums project. We have 2 German offtakes. There's other European offtakes in the work for Canadian LNG. And then as well, expansion of TMX, the oil pipeline, which is a project that will go ahead. The discussions with Alberta on the implementation agreement and potential new pipeline, oil pipeline to the West Coast. South Bow, which is a pipeline into the U.S. So when you total those up, it's a material amount of additional energy that Canada can provide, both in natural gas, and this is just from Western Canada. I shouldn't say just, but it's particularly from Western Canada. Obviously, there's other alternatives in the East. So it's quite substantial, and it's important to our European partners. It's important to our Asian partners. It was raised with me in a number of our bilaterals as well. Thank you.
Hi, Prime Minister. This is Shubi with Y Media. You met with many leaders, including the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Our sources at Y Media tell us that the Canada and India trade deal is 99% done. PM Modi mentioned that he will come to Canada this year. Will the trade agreement be signed when he comes to Canada?
Well, actually, it was. I believe Prime Minister Modi said that he looked forward to coming once the trade deal is done, I think he said that in the media scrum. Certainly, that is our collective understanding that we want to have the deal done and move from that platform forward for his visit to Canada. So we're working hard. What we had said, and I'll finish here, what we had said at the outset of the negotiations at the G7 last year is that we were going to launch these negotiations, and our intention would be to complete them by the G20 this year, which is in November. So that gives you a sense of timing. I think you might have rounded up to say it's 99% done, but we're making substantial progress, and we had a good discussion on some of the issues, the Prime Minister and I, when we met. So very constructive, and it's moving forward, and it's important. It's an important opportunity for Canada. I would underscore, just make one point just to put this in context. Canadian businesses, Canadian pension funds and others, we have $100 billion of investment already in India. So this is we're one of the largest foreign investors in India. We have one of the largest trade relationships, or potential trade relationships, better way to put it. Having the Foreign Investment Protection Agreement, FIPA, and then having this trade deal really will open up a new level of activity there. Thank you. Oui, madame.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Carney, Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada. Je voudrais vous entendre sur l'entente avec l'Iran.
Oui.
Vous avez parlé hier dans une entrevue à CNN d'un accord game changer, d'un tournant décisif. Il y a quand même plusieurs analystes qui doutent que ce protocole d'entente mène à une paix durable dans la région parce qu'il y a toute la question du nucléaire iranien qui doit être réglée. Pourquoi vous êtes si positif? Est-ce que c'est pour, je veux dire, plaire à M. Trump d'une certaine façon ou vous y croyez vraiment? Et si vous y croyez vraiment, pourquoi?
Non, je dis que je crois. Je dis que je crois ou je sais. Et dans le sens, il y a une possibilité ou une probabilité que cet protocole d'entente, d'accord, est une game changer parce que dans les discussions sur l'Ukraine, il y a un changement d'orientation des États-Unis et le président Trump. OK? Une position plus pas plus dure par rapport à la Russie, à la Russie, et plus réaliste selon nous de la situation sur le terrain de la guerre, le résultat éventuel de la guerre, la perte de la Russie. Ça, c'est la première chose. Deuxièmement, en ce qui concerne les discussions, il y avait une discussion très détaillée sur le Liban. C'était soulevé par le Canada, la France, mais à cause de l'accord avec l'Iran, il y avait une discussion, comme j'ai dit, plus détaillée sur le Liban. Ça, c'est un game changer, dans un sens, oui. Et troisièmement, en ce qui concerne l'accord avec l'Iran, c'est la fin dans l'accord. C'est la fin du programme nucléaire et de... oui, c'est pas fait. Oui, c'est pas fait, mais il y a une possibilité. C'est le commencement d'un processus. Il y a des incentives très grands pour l'Iran de respecter ses engagements. On verra, oui, il faut travailler.
Mais vous y croyez? Vous croyez que ça peut mener à une paix durable dans la région?
Ça crée la possibilité. Il y a plusieurs risques qui existent, mais je voudrais souligner le changement de ton, le changement de possibilités au Liban et en Ukraine. Et ça, c'est des game changers. In English, the exchange was that it creates a possibility of game changer, and I referenced the discussions we had on Ukraine, on Lebanon, and the change in tone with respect to Ukraine, the change in orientation, a more realistic, in our view, expectation of where this war was going to go, and the position against Russia, the tightening of sanctions against Russia, the ability to provide additional defensive support for Ukraine, which was discussed in some detail. Also very detailed discussion about Lebanon and next steps with that. The linkage, of course, here. Yes, there are risks. Yes, the accord has to be put into place, but the very fact of it and the fact that so many countries were involved in its development and are vested in its development does create knock-on effects, positive knock-on effects. And that's what I believe, and of course Canada will do what we can to support the realization of those.
Last question.
Yeah.
Rod Gillies from AP.
Yeah.
You mentioned you saw in your interview the Iran deal, the details of it.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of the $300 billion, where that money is going to come from? And I think you also mentioned that Canada maybe have a role, like you're going to be advising it all?
There's a variety of things that we can do. I guess the couple of things. One, there are frozen assets. I think it's for the principles of the deal to speak to the details of the money. To be clear, there's no Canadian money going in that. What you need in any of these accords is you need people to help implement them, third parties to help implement them, moderators, overseeing. If you have money that's linked to, which is the case with this deal, which has conditions and linked to the fulfillment of those conditions and being managed, sometimes you have third countries do that. Canada is, of course, willing to help if that's appropriate.
En français, Monsieur Carney, sur le 300 milliards.
Pardon?
En français, sur le 300 milliards et la contribution du Canada.
OK. Soyons clairs, c'est aucune contribution du Canada, mais il y a possibilité dans tous les accords du pays, il y a des troisième partie d'autres pays qui va faire un service, en effet, de gérer l'argent et gérer la distribution de l'argent. Très rapidement, madame. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
By the time the Pope's encyclical came out, the AI strategy was pretty baked, but it calls for widespread adoption. And I'm just wondering, given your faith, if you've reviewed the encyclical and if it gave you any pause about what will come next when it comes to...
I would say the following. One, yes, I've read it, and yes, actually, I spoke to the Pope about it. I also read and helped write the AI strategy, so I'm familiar with both documents, as you would expect, certainly on the AI strategy. I would bring the following, where it comes together and arriving at a similar position from very different roles, which is AI, particularly AI, but this is true for any should be true for any technology, is that the deployment of AI has to have people at the center. So having people at the center in this case means the following. One, all Canadians having the opportunity to learn how to use AI, to have the tools, literally the access to the AI tools. So it is AI for all. It's as equal as possible. That's what one of the things that makes Canada great, is that we always strive for equality where we can. So that's first and foremost. And there's a series of things in the AI strategy that look to accomplish that. We have more work to do. It'll be some of the discussions I have on the sidelines here and follow up with some of the AI companies. So that's the first element of having people at the center. And then the second is, to what purpose? What's the point of the deployment of AI? Medical solutions, helping as opposed to harvesting. Cultural discovery as another example. So there's a series of ways that we can deploy it. Making government work for people better would be a third obvious. And so core to the strategy is a series of missions. We'll start on healthcare in terms of delivery. So that's where those two come together. Thank you, Kate. Merci beaucoup. I wish him a happy birthday. He's very pleased. I did get him a present and he likes it a lot.
What is it? Mr. President!
But it's not gold.